Okay, shalom. Wonderful lesson ahead. Let's go and have a look at this concept found in Tanakh. A new song. Let's learn how to sing it as well. Okay, so this is a concept, a new song. It's actually 7 times. Let me bring myself on board. Shalom. Right, 7 times it's actually written in the Tanakh. A song. This is from Psalm 98:1. A song. Sing to the Lord a new song, for he has performed wonders. His right hand and his holy arm have saved him. So that's Mizmor Shiru Ladonai Shir Hadash. Okay, so before we go and have a look at the significance of the gematria behind this, which is absolutely wonderful, and there's some concepts, got to understand what is this new song? What is this new song that we've got to be singing? Let's go and have a look at the rest of the verses that contain this concept, Shir Hadash, a new song. Okay, so this is 7 instances where this concept of Shir Hadash is. Hopefully I haven't cut any of these off, but these are the Hebrew, and you can see in pink the actual verse that refers to. So the first instance is to be found in Isaiah 42:10, which says, "Sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise from the end of the earth. He shall go down to the sea, and all that is therein, the isles and the inhabitants thereof." So very significant, isn't it? This is a wonderful verse in all, to add some context to this concept. But the rest are found in Tehillim, Psalms. First being 33:03. There's slight variation here. Mostly they sing to the Lord, but in this instance it's sing to Him. I'd have to pull the Hebrew up, just wait. Shiru lo shir hadash, as opposed to Shiru Ladonai Shir Hadash. Okay, so sing unto him a new song, play skillfully with a loud noise. And then you've got this one, and he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praises unto our God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. This is wonderful to think by singing this new song, and many shall see it. See what? See what? Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. This is the place that we would like to get to. I'm wondering if that word is bitachon. Let's have a look. Many shall trust in the Lord. Which one are we on? 44. The word is Wayevtechu. So it is beteach, trust. This is a wonderful, wonderful place to get to, by the way. This is where we rock solid and got confidence in Yote Wawhe. When I had a revelation of his name, I can remember walking past his name. I drew a big picture of his name. And one of the things I can remember after I'd had this really powerful revelation of his name, life-transforming revelation, like an emanation of his name into my heart, and walking past, and that was the word that I wanted to say to him, I trust you, Bateach. I trust you. I've got this confidence. I've got this assurance, and it was that feeling of being able to absolutely trust. We want to get to that place, because when we're not at that place, it's a really difficult place to exist. We're not built to exist at a place other than a place where we've got confidence. We really need to exploit that more, because we settle for so much less than that. We settle for so much uncertainty. We settle for so much, not knowing, like I say, uncertainty. We don't trust. We don't have confidence. It means having confidence. It's a wonderful place to get to, and the fact that by singing this new song will put people in that place. Let's get on and learn how to sing it. Let's retune our heartstrings or whatever, so that the words that we are singing, this song that we are singing, even praise unto our God, and many shall see it. We shall actually see it. This is wonderful. And fear. This means to be filled with absolute awe. Shall trust in the Lord. Something that we've got to sing is going to change things, because this getting to a place of trust is a worthy destination. It's a worthy destination for us all. So then 9601, oh, sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord all the earth. Okay. And I'll talk about this later. Sometimes when we're trying to sing a new song, and I'll give after I've gone through these, I want to just give an illustration how this has just impacted me just recently, with actual experiences that just made me think I need to sing a new song. I just have this inspiration. I had this very powerful inspiration that is the place where I'm at now. I've got a longing and a yearning to sing a new song. But sometimes you're very alone in that. You're very alone in most of the spiritual journey that you're on. You are the one receiving at your level the inspiration that you're receiving. You can bounce ideas with other people, you can do brainstorm, you can do research, you can listen to what the teachers say, but it's what's called nativot. We've all got our individual paths that we're trying to explore, and we're trying to exploit also to the best possible advantage we can. And sometimes that's extremely lonely. Sometimes we go a short way with another, but mainly that journey is a lonely one. And this is another instance where it says all the earth. Once we start to get in tune, once we start to sing off a new song sheet, it's for all the earth to enjoy. 98, what we've just read. I've just read that, haven't I? So 144. I will sing a new song unto thee, O God. So that's slightly different, isn't it? A shira, upon a psaltery, and an instrument of 10 strings will I sing praises unto thee. There's a lot of mystery hidden in that 10-stringed instrument, by the way. That is there's a lot of mystical understanding regarding that. I've come across that before. And then praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord a new song. And his praise in the congregation of the saints. Hasidim. And that Hasidim, it would appear, has got an additional yud. Hasidim. This is the ones that have got the loving kindness. Are you aware of the significance of loving kindness? This is what it is to be a Hasid. Bekahal Hasidim. So that's another important dimension to it, isn't it? Because that's the sphere through which Yod-Heh-Wah primarily reveals himself at redemption. It's through the sphere of Chesed, the light of Chesed, the Or Hasidim, and this is the only light as the power to reveal the Or Chochmah, the light of wisdom that's hidden in the darkness that we're supposed to be revealing. It's all very Kabbalistic, but you've got to draw out wisdom. Wisdom doesn't come out any other way except through loving kindness. You can't draw that wisdom out any other way. You've got to employ chesed when you're dealing with other people, and when you're dealing with yourself as well. You've got to be very kind. It's all right going beating your Bibles and employing the carrot and the stick to try and motivate people to do things, and suffering. So many people worshipping the God of suffering, so many people worshipping the serpent on the staff mentality, restricted consciousness. We've really got to get out of that restricted state. Chesed is about an overflow of kindness. It's this that causes us to function, not stinginess, and not what's the word, not putting people in a state of denial or expecting them to suffer until they're at the place where you want them to be. This is no way. It's no way to be. You've got to understand that the greatest motivator humanity has got is chesed. loving kindness. It's so foundational. It's so fundamental. It's such a revelation of Yod He Waw He. I'm not talking about earthly chesed, and just satisfying your lusts and your lower desires. I'm talking about holy chesed, where you just want to feel the kindness of Yod He Waw He in your life through every aspect of your life. You don't want to be beaten up and punished. You've gone through enough of that. You're running from that because that only rectifies so much. You want to really rectify things, you've got to employ chesed. You've got to employ loving kindness. People need it. People are hungry for it. Suffering and punishment and discipline and restraint is only till you get to a certain level. It serves a purpose. But once you've experienced the loving kindness of Hashem, once that balance has tipped for you in your life, you've got to sort of live up to that expectation. That was the Sphirot that shone on me. It was just, all I could keep saying was, you are so kind, you are so kind, you are so, and I had to pull my head around from, you're looking you're looking 85 degrees 180 degrees in the wrong direction. Maybe 175. You're 100% looking towards the suffering, the hardship. You're really in the wrong direction. When Yod He Waw He revealed himself in the corner of my eye through this spirit of chesed, and I suddenly became aware of the kindness of Yod He Waw He, I had all on trying to pull my eyes away from all the incredible attention that I'd given to the other side, the cruelty. It just captures the trauma, the suffering, the feeling bad about yourself. I'd just focused on that for so long, and I can remember it took so long. I was just saying, please bear with me, don't let this light disappear so I can't find you ever again. And I remember having to strain and look away from all the things that had grabbed my entire attention, that were trying to perceive Yod He Waw He through. I was literally looking in a complete different direction. Every single bump in the road I was feeling, every single, prod I was feeling to the depth of my being, and then suddenly I was just getting drenched with this kindness. And I can remember just being incredibly aware of the kindness of Yod He Waw He, and I felt so restored by that. It's worth bearing in mind, we are supposed to be aware of that the entire of exile's got us look our vision, our being, our essence, really enslaved to in the opposite direction to that, to the gevura, to the punishment, to the torment, to the trauma, and you sort of can't let go. And I just remember the force. I was thinking, I can't even stop looking at problems I've got with my mother and my sister, and I can't let go of the hold that has on to look at this kindness of Hashem. It was really very frustrating, just that battle to not want to serve that anymore, to want to just say enough is enough is enough is enough is enough. I can remember feeling like a donkey that had been so beaten and battered. I was on the ground. This feeling of just being humiliated, like a beaten up donkey that cannot stand yet still taking the lashes, and just, when is it going to be over? I just give me a chance to live. Just give me a chance to live. But there's forces that want to keep you down suffering. They want to just add that last lash, and then once you've got to your feet and you're starting to move in the right direction towards that kindness, you are never going back. You can't tolerate even one day. You knew how hard it was to stand yourself up and move to what you actually start, to move towards that light from the place where you were at. It was an impossible challenge. I was like, it was impossible to maintain that focus in this evil, wicked world with what we had been subject to. You don't want to ever go back and be reminded of that. You don't want to sing that song of lament and this dirge that comes out of your heart the whole way you address Hashem. You know, you want to just be saying endlessly, you are kind, you are kind, you are loving, I am so grateful, I love you so much. You want to be at that place, not please, if you could just stop whipping me again. And you don't want to go back. Be in the congregation of the Hasidim. Don't be in the congregation of something other. This is the ones that will be singing the new song. It comes from this place. It comes from people who took the battering, who was purged and disciplined, and they can't take anymore. I can't take anymore. I had to fight from nothing to get to the place where I got to, where I was believing in the chesed of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. Don't let nothing stand in your way, because the ultimate is you want to sing this new song. This is where it's at. This is where it's at. We had our days when we were singing the lament, and that was fine for then. But this is now. This is now. We've got to be able to transition. Okay? Right, so let's go and have a look at some of this phenomenal gematria. A new song. I'll just try and get through as much as I can, but it is so beautiful. There's so much to learn from this, just this concept. It blows me away, in fact. Some of the things that I've revealed are really, really important stuff. First of all, we're going to be having a look at this because filled in all the worlds, usually because you've got a vav or a he, the numerical value of the gematria changes for each of the worlds, the 4 worlds of Asiya, Yetzirah, Bria and Atziluth. Because there is no vav or no he, though it stays the same for all 4 worlds. So this is an important number. This is the essence of this concept of a new song. It's not the ultimate essence. The ultimate essence would it be filled twice. This is just filled once. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Might have to do with a second fill-in now. I haven't actually done that yet. Right, so straight away, this incredible concept. We've got the Torah, the Gospels and the Quran. If you take the regular of all 3 and the ordinal of all 3 and add them together, you get 2,102. So what is that telling us exactly then? This is a lot like the teaching that I've been inspired to teach about, this unity between the Abrahamic faiths. It's so important. There's reasons why it's important. Going back to that feeling of loneliness, I just wanted to share something that happened to me just recently. I have a friend who introduced me to the concept of Shabbat from a very, I wouldn't say Hebraic point of view, but from a Torah-keeping Christian point of view or a Messianic point of view. So she introduced me to Shabbat. Then I went towards the Judaism and I got rooted in the Shabbat from a Jewish point of view. But however, she's maintained this Christian Messianic position and now she's into Enoch calendars. I'll think a lot about her. I've been a friend for a very long time. In fact, she's the only person that I've maintained friendship with for that length of time. A long time I've been keeping Shabbat now. Thank goodness. But I went to visit her house recently and she had some friends around and we were all singing songs together, and it was like Messianic Christian Torah type of songs. That's the only way I can describe it. And there was something really beautiful, something really innocent almost about it. You know, some of these songs, strumming a guitar and all singing together and clapping, and somebody there with a tambourine with ribbons on, and it were all very nice, but it wasn't the song that I was in it wasn't the song of my soul. I was just there witnessing other people getting more excited than me. I was very happy to see it. I'm not in a place where I want to mock it. At one point, I'd have thought that was a be all and end all of everything, but now I'm ready for something else. I can remember at that point thinking, "Joe, I wish I could just go back to shul," because I used to go to shul every week, and there's a lot of singing going on through the siddur, the prayer book. You sing a lot of the parts, so it's all these beautiful, beautiful melodies, like Etz Chaim and all the wonderful, wonderful songs as you go, and you get so used to it, and your soul is so inflamed by it. So I'd had that experience that then made me yearn for, I would just wish I could just go back to the synagogue and just and just attach myself to that reality all over again. And then I really thought about it, because my friend from Israel sent me a few videos of him, and there was a new Sefer Torah, a new Torah scroll, and it had this incredible case on it like I've never seen before, this solid silver case. Usually you have the crown and then like a big plush velvet all engraved covering over the Torah, the actual Torah scroll. And this, it was the entire of it was solid silver. This is, you're talking over $100,000 for this new Sefer Torah to be sort of inaugurated into the Holy Ark within whatever synagogue it was going to be placed in. Lots of money involved, big celebration. Somebody had fulfilled the mitzvah obligation in some way of writing a Sefer Torah. Usually or a lot of the times it's for somebody who's deceased, in memory of them. Right, but we're talking a lot of money just for the case alone, top dollar. And they were all excited, and he's sending me it and this and the other. And I'm sort of like thinking, this is okay. So they're still happy singing their songs, as beautiful and as wonderful it is. I'm thinking to myself, I've seen a lot of these ceremonies now. I've watched them. I've been really excited so many times. Some of the songs you recognise that people are singing. You've sang them yourself in the shul. And you're just thinking, I don't think that is going to be the song that I'm singing next, And he sang me another song. He sent me another video of this C-Teen song with Gad Elbaz in it. And I mean, I like Gad Elbaz and stuff like that. I think it's good music, but it was just the same old there. I'm a Jew, I'm proud, I'm Zionist, I'm always going to be. I'm thinking, okay, I appreciate that sometimes what people need to say, who were a little bit lost in their identity. Okay, but these are not the words that I want to sing either. And I even commented to him back, sort of like, it'd be nice when they can get to sing something else. And I didn't even relate it all together. And then there were other incidents where I really felt that this inspiration was going to be for somebody who had been sharing a lot of inspiration with just lately. A really wonderful person, by the way. I'm not going to knock him or all of those other friends, but some of us are not ready to sing a new song just yet. We have got to get through that lamentation stage. We've got to get through the dirge stage. We've got to get through them minor key stages of our lives, because that's exactly where our heart is at this time. We're not really ready to be singing this new song just yet. Okay? And sometimes it can be hard to accept, because you're wanting to sing with other people, aren't you? And you don't feel like you're really quite getting the same resonation of anybody else in this universe. I was just reading a book on meditation, Jewish meditation, by actually was a friend of mine, a very, very from Hasidic man from a Hasidic dynasty. He can trace his descendants all the way back to King David. He's like really very illustrious lineage and stuff like that. And I was reading from his book how everything's to do with resonance. The thinking now the entire of the creation is somehow connected to resonance, and it was put in like, if you sound one, I'll just read it for you so you know what I'm talking about, because it's actually very beautiful and it should make us think. It's just this book here is absolutely worth the investment. Eye to the Infinite by Rabbi David Aaron Reuben. I think he goes under a different pen name. His name is David Reuben, but it's Aaron Reuben for this book, I do believe. Anyway, it's Eye to the Infinite. It's a wonderful Jewish meditation book. It says, in the material world, consciousness manifests as action, the corporeal expression of higher vibrations. Here, ayin is given tangibility through mitzvot, as stated. These levels are the result of stages in the outpouring of divine energy, giving rise to 4 spiritual worlds. And that the spiritual worlds, that all these 4 worlds, I've got this number 2102, 2102. So you're talking about Atziluth, Bria, Yetzirah and Asiya. It says the relationship between human expression and these worlds comes to the fore in the law of sympathetic resonance. Objects attuned to the same frequency automatically transfer their vibrations one to the other. They're in tune. And the modern theory of quantum entanglement, their effects most pronounced in the metaphysical. Everyone affects and is affected by energy levels that resonate with their own spiritual vibrations and act resonating in the sphere peculiar to its spiritual frequency. And it just got an example. It says if you pluck a guitar's low E string, you'll see the high E string vibrating along with it, as if plucked by a phantom finger. This happens because a specific vibration rate of high E, 660 Hz, is an even multitude of E 2 octaves lower, 165 Hz. The same thing happens if you place a tuning fork next to a piano and strike the key for A above middle C. The tuning fork will vibrate too. This is called resonance, a word that literally means sounds again. When vibrations of 2 different phenomena of a similar shape and frequency, we see they resonate with each other. It's so beautiful. So you need to find that person or those people or that thing that causes you to resonate. It has to be at your frequency. You've got to be in tune with one another, don't you? How are we going to do that then? Because we've got a lot of disturbance, haven't we? We're living with a lot of disturbance. We're living with a lot of things that make that very difficult. All too difficult. It's a big fight. You're not going to be able to sing this new song for free. We're out putting up some fight. So first of all, we've got this concept of the Torah, the Gospels and the Quran. How are we going to get those to resonate together? And this goes back to the inner and outer realities, doesn't it? You can do a lot of work, like what I've been doing, to understand the inner hidden dimension behind all these concepts of the Torah of Moshiach founded in Judaism, the Gospels. There's all kinds of things like that. The concept of Hebrew Gospels even, and things like that. And then the Quran. There's an inner hidden vibration in there, and they are all actually tuned to one another. But there's an outer reality that's also extremely dominant, that it's very difficult to break through to perceive that inner resonance. Okay, sometimes you just simply got to know that it exists and it's there, but it's a lot of hard work. It's hard work just figuring out that the Torah, the Gospels and the Quran are in some ways singing off the same song sheet, because the inner light of all of them has got some similarities. They certainly resonate. There's a certain resonation definitely with that inner light. But on the outside, when you've got Erev Rav, when you've got Edomite influences and we've got Ishmaelite influences, you see what's on the inside is hidden. You're going to have to start, you want to sing the new song, you're going to have to start to break down some of those outer barriers that cause that concealment. And how do you start to do that in this world where that is the absolute dominance, the outer reality of all this? light and resonance is totally and utterly concealed. How do you break through the reality of what we actually experience in this world at this time to reveal that inner resonance, that inner light? It's a task, isn't it? But it's, if you want to sing the new song, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to find a way to break free from this outer influence in order for that inner light to shine. And usually it's connected to Eliyahu. The reason why I wanted to point out Eliyahu, going back to this feeling sometimes in this spiritual journey that you're on your own. You're on your own. You don't want to be, but you know you've got to keep going forward according to the inspiration that you receive. You know, you don't want to be hindered by physical reality, but there's no running away from it. You've got to face it at every single opportunity. Going back to Eliyahu represented what's called perfected Gashmiut. There's Gashmiut and Ruchniut. Moshe represented perfected Ruchniut, perfected soul. So going back to Moshe, he would be the light hidden within all these. Ultimately, it is the light. The Torah of Moshe is hidden, the Gospels is hidden, the Quran. It's just got to be revealed. He's the soul, isn't he? He's the hidden soul that you wanting to get that resonating. But the thing that's stopping it, it's just like the strings are all caked up in gunk. So even when you try plucking them, you don't get that inner vibration. You just get something that's preventing that harmony from arising. The outer evil husks are going to stop that beautiful new song from being sung. Moshe was the Ruchniot. Eliyahu is the Gashmiut, the physicality. And this goes back to this concept found within the sages that Moshe was born early. Some say even 6 months. There is like 6 or 7 months. But it's definitely recorded in one instance that he was born at 6 months and survived. Eliyahu had a gestation of 12 months. Moshe represents perfected soul. Eliyahu represents perfected body. And this is why Eliyahu's got to come again. Because one, to encourage us when we are feeling that we are the only ones doing we're the only ones on our particular journey. When you go through those like desert experiences where you feel like I'm really on my own again, or I'm really in a place of utter and absolute separation or limbo. Eliyahu comes and precedes the Moshiach, the revealing of Moshiach. Why? One, to encourage us, we are never on our own, even when it feels that way. I alone remain. This is what Eliyahu said, and he was proved wrong. Even God had to say to him, no, you're not Eliyahu, you're not on your own. It may feel like that, but Yotei had got his own people that he'd saved from Baal worship. Okay. So we've got this Eliyahu also represents perfected physicality. This is why he had that abstinence, he only ate certain things, locusts being one. There's some people say that that's the carob and things like that from the locust tree. There's all kinds of things like that. But he led a very ascetic life to try and rectify his physicality. But it'd been in the womb 12 months, representing that he really symbolised gross, extra physicality. This is why he will have had to have an ascetic life. And we'll see how it's related to John the Baptist later. So you've got these two men living extremely ascetic lives in order to rectify the outer physical reality, the Gashmiuth. The Ruchniuth is already perfect. We ain't got a problem with that. That's why Eliyahu's got to come again to inspire us to get on to do the job, to work through this layers and layers of physicality, any means possible, through abstinence or through discipline, self-discipline, whatever it takes to deal with the outer reality that all in each and every one of us face. Let us be getting on and doing that now. Get to the next step. Got mental health issues, you're going to have to sort them out. They're part of your outer physicality that is not in order. Needs to be put back in order. If you've got lusts and greeds that are out of order, get whatever you need to, whatever system you want to put in place, bring it back, subdue it. So the force of Eliyahu is really to help us rectify the outer reality, the husks that are stopping that inner song and resonance from really being heard. We've got to deal with it, and we've got to lessen. We've got to lessen all the constraints, all the restrictions, all the limitations, all the forces of those outer powers. We've simply got to do what is necessary in order to subdue that force, so that that's on the inside can be revealed, and that is definitely not going to be easy. Hence why we need to be inspired by Eliyahu. And this goes back to the two ways that Moshe has died. I once read in Midrash Rabbah a beautiful, beautiful insight, Torah insight. There's two aspects to death. There's death of the body and death of the memory. Moshe died, but he had a bodily death. Eliyahu never did. He went up into heaven. Even though he represented extreme Gashmiuth, his job was to perfect that to the point where he ascended into heaven alive. Moshe came to perfect Ruchniot, spirit, soul. Yet he suffered physical death, and nobody to this day knows where he's buried. So they can't make some kind of idol worship site out of that. So Moshe is the hidden vibration that's concealed by the thickness and grossness of our physicality. We've got to do something about that. That's why Elijah precedes Moshiach, because Moshe represents the Moshiach. But we have got to reduce down our physicality, the dominance our physicality has over our spirituality, to conceal it. We've got to do the work necessary to subdue those outer forces in order to reveal that that's inside. Moshe never suffered the death of the memory. We remember him for good today. So even though his body died, his memory is kept alive throughout the entire of Judaism, certainly, and is also through Christianity and even Islam. He didn't die a death regarding the memory of him. He's remembered with such goodness and is honoured in such a great way. Eliyahu didn't suffer physical death, and there's a difference between Moshe and Eliyahu. The two must come together. The light on the inside and the perfected outer reality must come together. Okay, so this we've got next, Yod He Waw He Shalom. So this is an actual name of Yod He Waw, and this is to be found in the Tanakh, in Judges 6:24, I do believe. So Yod He Waw He Shalom. It's got a Misbah Gadol ordinal of 89, which is it's Yetzirah ordinal. So this is the evil inclination, this is the outer reality that we've got to subdue. We've got to be inspired by Eliyahu to do this. Get on and do the work that needs to be done on the outer reality of our life, not just the inner reality. It can be a mess. Mine's a mess. I'm sure everybody else is a mess. We're all in a mess. We're all in a mess, as we'd be glowing like Moshe. His face glowed because he had such limited physical reality. He was only a gestation of 6 months. He had less Gashmiut than the rest of us, less physicality than the rest of us. This is why we need Eliyahu, who had more outer reality than all of us, yet was able to subdue it to the point where he went into heaven alive. It's got to use this as an inspiration. We can subdue our evil inclination. It takes a lot of effort. You've got to really deal with it. It's our work to do that. It's not easy. Even it can create a lot of problems, a lot of wars. It's a horrible farce, really, but what can we do about it? We can't ignore it. We just have to be very mature about it. And we've got to use that. We've got to connect to the inner light all the time, haven't we, to overcome our egocentric outer reality. So, 89 is Yetzirah, evil inclination. That is the very of the very good. We were created very good. A good inclination is the tov. Our very is the ma'od. I've talked about this in the last few lessons that I've done. Shalom has got the same gematria as Esav, and Esav represents the outer reality like Yaakov represents the inner reality. So these two must come together. This is the vessels and the light. The light of the name Yod-Heh-Wawe, which is Judaism and Christianity, the Torah and the Gospels unite together, Moshe and Yeshua, to fit into the vessels of Shalom, which primarily come from Islam. I've done lessons on this before, the vessels of Shalom. It's called the religion of Shalom. It talks about peace all the time. You can't see that on the when you're on the outside looking to what's on the outside of Islam, you're seeing a lot of dirty black husks. That's your own ego that sees that. At some point you can see beyond that. You can see beyond and connect to that inner reality, that inner soul reality. But you see, in order to do that, you've got to remove all the outer husks of ego. It's going to get in the way and cause you a lot of problems. It's caused me a lot of problems just lately, by the way. Falling out with people that I really didn't want to fall out with, but God will rectify that whole... everything will be rectified. Everything will be rectified. You've got to keep reassuring yourself that, because when you're dealing with physical reality, it's overwhelming. I did this for a lot of years. You know, like I said, I was trying to turn to the kindness, and I felt so deficient because I'd been beaten up like a wild donkey on the floor, left battered and bruised. Nobody was coming to help me accept this light in the end. You feel so inadequate and incapable of standing in the presence of that kindness, of attaining that level of trust, so you can say, I trust you. And connecting to that, we tend to cut ourselves off from it. We tend to feel ashamed and embarrassed of our lowly natures. We've simply got to deal with it. We've got to recognise God give us this. It's what's in our in-tray to do. You know, we simply get on and do it, and it's no longer in our in-tray. It's something we can be really proud about. It's moved from our in-tray, things to do, into the out-tray, things that we've done. Get on with the next job. There's plenty in there. And I used to think to myself, God gave me a little bit more than other people, I'm pretty sure of it. But maybe because he trusts us more. Because we do actually get on and do the job that we have got to do in this world. We're not people that are sitting idly by waiting for somebody else to come. I ain't waiting for people to come. I am trying to learn how to sing this new song for myself. Even though I get those feelings where I'm completely and totally alone. I am, whatever strength I have in this world to do, like put these teachings together, that I'm doing. And a million other things besides. You're juggling your entire life. And these forces that are necessary in order for us to keep living and surviving reality sometimes get a little bit more dominant than they should. And we need help. We need to correct that. And correct it we will. We also need to remember we're not going to be a slave to what we once was. That's part of the correction, to say I am going back to a place where I'm going to be whipped like a donkey dead on the floor. I got myself up, thanks. I don't belong there, and nobody's going to convince me that I'm going back there, because I've experienced the chesed of Yod-Heh-Wawe, and I know where I belong. This is not going to help me ever. This is not part of me going forward. I took a lot of effort to get even my head turned around in the right direction. I'm not going to wander back there, or it don't matter for nothing. I'm trying to avoid that situation. Sometimes that's it. Sometimes we've got to just avoid those situations that put us in a place of suffering and torment and punishment. We've got to be strong enough to say, I don't need that. and wanting something new. I think there's better things out there than this. Sometimes you've got to have a boundary and say, I ain't going back there. And that's part of a corrected outer reality, to say, no, that is unacceptable. I don't want that in my life. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to set those boundaries. That is what we should be doing. We should be recognising where there's a problem and avoiding it, instead of going headlong into a situation that's going to ultimately hurt us a lot. So the sun, yes, we want the sun to shine on us, but we also need some protection from it. Swear ordinal 1051. The sun really is symbolic of the concept of Moshiach ben Yosef, to be found within the Gospels. Primarily, one of the luminaries. King David is symbolic of the moon. Okay, that's why at Kiddush Lavaneh, you go outside before the 15th, before the full moon, you sanctify the moon, at the end, preferably at the end of Shabbat. And it's when you see the moon, you're looking for the you're looking for the moon. You say, David Melech Yisrael, Chai V'Kayam. David, King of Israel, is alive and enduring. So he's associated with the moon. Moshiach ben David associated with the moon. Moshiach ben Yosef associated with the sun. And a friend of mine also pointed out that is connected to the word Shamash, which is the servant candle in the Hanukkah, the candle from which all the other lights are lit. Moshiach ben Yosef is certainly like that. So we can see it's connected directly to Yotei Wauhe Shalom. Why? Because the light is really, the light came first. The vessel is formed to fit the light, not the light to fit the vessel. This has got to be in the right order. So this is like the Islam doesn't get to determine Islam doesn't get to say, this is what the Gospels are, this is what the truth is regarding the Torah. They don't get to say that, because they're the vessel. That's like Lilith trying to get on top and say, I'm the one who rules Adam. The female rules the male. This is not so. Shalom has got to surrender to the reality of the male, the light of Yotei Wauhe. But this is only Israel is able to do this to a certain degree as well. Pharaoh, on the other hand, this is my river, I made it myself. I'm going to decide what happens here. Whereas Israel, they sing a different song, don't they? It's a beautiful sound. Just let me find it. So this is Israel. Know that the Lord is God. He made us, and we are His people and the flock of His pasture. So there's a difference between the pharaonic mindset that's wanting to dominate and think it's made it. The vessel is made for the light. Woman was made for man. Shalom is the vessel that contains the light of Yotei Wauhe. Yotei Wauhe changes not, by the way. So there's all these things that we've got to try and appreciate on many different levels. So the Quran doesn't get to dictate what the actual Gospels, the true Gospels and the Torah are. The true Gospels and the Torah simply are a revelation of the name of Yotei Wauhe, and the Quran is designed to fit and accommodate that reality, not make it up, not create itself like Lilith and try and get on top. This is an uncorrected female. This is why King David represents a corrected divine female, because he will ultimately usher in Shalom, and he's connected to the revelation to be found within the Quran. This is the inner reality that's got to be brought out. But the evil outer husks, like these impulses, pharaonic, immature, egotistical impulses, this is my river, I made it myself, these have got to be subdued. It's not an easy task. We've got to set the hand to the plough. God help us, Hashem help. We'll need it. So again, John the Baptist is likened to Eliyahu. He's a revelation of the prophet Eliyahu Navi. Hu yelech holech warav wa'ani elech holech uchsor. I think that's how you say it. I've not got the vowel pointings on. He must increase and I must decrease. He must increase, the inner light must increase. Yeshua represented the name of Yotewahwe at the level of Keter. And I must decrease, i.e. my gashmiuth, my physicality, my domineering physicality must be subdued to let this light start to shine out as it should. To let the inner reality that resonates with such a wonderful new song to be revealed. So we can see that is 1051. Exactly the same as Yotewahwe Shalom and the sun. This is showing a resonation from all these concepts. They're all resonating because they've all got the same number, all same frequencies, just different ways of deriving them. And then we've got this concept here, and it's related to, just wait a minute. We've got this concept here. I've already gone over this, so I don't want to go over this, but this is so important because Eliyahu is the teacher, the Ravlach. You've got 251 here, a Ravlach, a teacher for you, is 252. Where do we get that from? When Moshe's pleading, please let me go into the land of Israel, and Yotewahwe says, it is enough for you, Ravlach, it is enough for you. That's 252. We can see here 251 plus plus a Kalel, which we're going to come through the concept of Kalel now, comes to 252. Kalel really is that outer reality that hides the inner light. We've got to be able to correctly interpret that outer reality, to be able to see the hidden light within. We've got evidence that John is the Ravlach because we've even got it here, look, Ravlach, Lach, Ravlach. So this is the most famous saying of John the Baptist, who is Eliyahu Navi. Yeshua even identifies him as such. Hu yolech holech. This is taken from Psalm 126 in reverse order. It's holech yelech. He who sows in tears will reap in joy. Gather in, it's talking about Moshiach ben Yosef, gathering in the lost tribes of Israel ultimately. It's to do with this. Who's going to teach Moshe? So Arizal said Moshe will come back in a state of dumbness. Elim, Aleph, Lamed, Mem. This is all messianic. It's connected to the whole concept of the Alif, Mim, Lam. These three letters that are the beginning of some of the surahs within the Quran. It's all the three aspects of Moshiach. It's the Aleph, which is Moshe, because he is the small Aleph in Vayikra, within the Torah scroll. The Lamed is Yeshua, is the teacher. Lamed means is connected to teach. He's the rabbi. And then King David, who's the final Mem, the Mim. And I've gone through that in the teachings that I did on Aleph, Lam, Mim. I think that's how you say it in Arabic. But Moshe comes in a state of Alim, he's dumb. And he has to be educated. He's mute. He needs to be educated to who he actually is. Who educates him? According to Arizal, the Ravlach, the teacher for you. Ravlach can mean it is enough for you. It also can mean a teacher for you, a Rav. So who teaches him then? Eliyahu Navi teaches him that he's the Moshiach. So John the Baptist was Yeshua's teacher. There were some things that he needed to be taught in order to receive that elevation, and that's why John the Baptist is the one who baptizes him, and then afterwards he receives the Ruach HaKodesh. He goes off and is tempted in the desert. Final appearance of Moshe, it will be exactly the same. It's this Ravlach, somebody who's going to teach you to bring out that inner light of the Moshiach through all the layers of Gashmiut. Somebody who's rectified their physicality to such a degree. And we know that John the Baptist had a very similar ascetic life to Eliyahu Navi. Lived a very similar way and he ate similar foods. It's all incredible. It's all perfect, by the way. This is all perfect. So Ephraim and Manasseh, Reuben and Simeon, these incredible gematria, it's a whole other lesson. But this 731, by the way, you've got up here 1,462, 2 times which is this number here, 731. 731 is also Yeshua plus Yeshua 386 plus Moshe. It's also the regular and ordinal of Melech Yisrael, 631 plus 100. There's all kinds. We do come across that number, not in this lesson, because when we come to analyse this number here, we do go through it. However, for this instance, we're just going to add up the regular of both, and it comes to 1,463. So if we add a Kalel, we know, if we add a Kalel to this, it also comes to 1,463. I did a teaching on this about Ephraim and Reuben and Simeon and Ephraim and Manasseh. It's a wonderful teaching, by the way. It's really based on this verse, but it's the whole concept of the Kalel. What is the Kalel? The Kalel is the way that Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh hides. It's the physical reality with which he hides, the visible reality in which he hides. Okay? It's the Kalel, it's the Aleph, Alufo Shel Olam, Master of the Universe. And it's also connected to Esav. His descendants were all called Alufo, chieftains of Esav. So there's all that as well. There's a lot of connection, there's a lot of mystery involved in it. However, if you take the regulars and add them up, they come to this, the square ordinal of a new song plus a Kalel. This is the concept of the Kalel. Why? Because you've got this verse. And now as for your 2 sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt, until I came to you to the land of Egypt, they are mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be like Reuben and Simeon. That's from Genesis 48:5. So the gematria is there's only one difference between Ephraim and Manasseh and Reuben and Simeon. That means that in order for them to be like, you've got to add the Kalel, the Aleph, to them. Okay, and that's where the whole concept of the Kalel comes. Because the Torah says Ephraim and Manasseh shall be like Reuben and Simeon. We know the only difference is one Kalel, and this is where we can always add the Kalel onto any number to find out equivalencies between those 2 numbers, because it always represents the way that Alufo Shel Olam is hidden in the world. Okay, and we this song is hidden. The resonation is hidden. It's hidden through the filthy layers of the outer exterior. Need to be totally inspired by Eliyahu Navi. What did Eliyahu Navi do? He employed a lot of ascetic behaviour. What must we do? We've got to discipline ourselves. If you've got something that's unruly, go get help for it. You've got something that's creating a barrier, it's creating too much Gashmiut in your life that's blocking that inner resonance, go sort it out. It's problematic. You know, it's problematic. If you aren't coming from a place where, if your tune isn't coming from a place of chesed, sort it out. If you're still expecting people to lie on the floor and get whipped or put up with that, sort it out. There's lots of different ways of putting it. You know, sometimes it's very important to reach that stage where we say enough is enough. You know, like the Jewish people, they had to reach that stage, didn't they? Never again. Never again. You got to feel that within yourself. Reach that level of maturity where you're just not prepared to put up with what is unacceptable. That's part of progress. Because there's a big part of us that will lie down and get whipped forever until there's nothing left. And it's not right to do that either. It's evil. Right, then we've got this concept. It's not a concept that I'm really familiar with, or certainly don't know enough about. It's mysterious. Apparently, I've read some really important teachings that say this core concept of a dial is essentially Metatron, which would be essentially Moshiach ben Yosef. the hidden way that Yod-Heh was being correcting all of humanity. This again goes to the visible and the invisible. Okay, it's 111, which is Aleph spelt out, and 39, which is Moshe. Together they come to 140, which is 2 times Ayin. You know, our ability to see. We talked about the song that we will see. And Yeshua's name has got his Ayin, the letter Ayin removed from his name. We need to be able to see this new song even. Okay, we need to be able to see the inner light beyond the layers of outer reality. I'm just going to read something quickly. Anyway, where do we get the number from? If we had the square ordinal and square regular up together, come to 6,306, which is 3 times 2,102. So this concept, I don't agree with this because it comes from comes from the book of Enoch. But it's just another understanding, I think, of the concept of Metatron. Like I say, it's too above me. I don't know enough about it. But I can see through the numbers what it's trying to represent. And when I look at here, there must be some significance. So all I can do is go show you the briefness of what I know, the lack of knowledge that I know. And maybe you can do some more research. It's not something I'm overly familiar about, but I was inspired to do the numbers on it, and it just came up for here. Okay, so it's taken from 2nd Enoch, I think it is, chapter 25. God relates to Enoch how out of the very deepest parts came forth the visible from the invisible. So the concealment, the Aleph, the big serpent. It says, and I commanded in the very lowest parts that visible things should come down from invisible, and the dial came down very great, and I beheld him, and lo, he had a belly of great light. And I said to him, become undone a dial, and let the visible come out of you. I think this is Gnostic, by the way. And he came undone, and a great light came out, and I was in the midst of a great light, and there is born light from light. There came forth a great age, and showed all creation, which I had thought to create, and I saw that it was good. And I placed for myself a throne, and I took my seat on it, and said to the light, go hence, up higher, and fix yourself high above the throne, and be a foundation to the highest things. And above the light there is nothing else. And then I bent up and looked up from my throne. It's very mysterious, in other words. This is the only other thing that I could find about it. Let me just scroll down so I'm not obscuring it. It's taken from this book. I can't get any more information at this time regarding it, but it just says here, hopefully I'm not blocking the way. It says, unlike other early Enoch writings, the second Slavonic apocalypse of Enoch depicts a unique story of primordial creation, revealing an elaborate course of events that preceded the visible creation of the world. The importance of this mystical account is underlined by the fact that it was delivered to the seventh antediluvian hero by God himself. I think I've said that right. Chapter 25 of 2 Enoch recounts how, at the end of the patriarch's celestial tour to the throne of glory, the deity unveils to the seer that prior to the visible creation he had called out from nothing the luminous Aeon Adoil to become the foundation of upper things. The account describes the enigmatic event of Adoil's disintegration, in the course of which the Aeon becomes the cornerstone of the visible creation upon which the deity establishes his throne. Here, similar to the depictions found in the Lurianic Kabbalah, the bursting of the primordial vessel. So these are the vessels of chaos, the vessels of Asaph, the breaking of the vessels that became our world that we know today. It's because they couldn't interrelate. There was no marriage. The vessels of Asaph, they had no marriage. It was only the final vessel, wasn't it? The king that didn't die because he was married. The bursting of the primordial vessel of light is envisioned as the first creative act. There's no union. There's no cooperation between two. There was no interrelation, so they sort of imploded on themselves. That's the Lurianic Kabbalah of the bursting of the primordial vessels associated with the 8 kings of Asaph. The Alufo, the chieftains of light, is envisioned as the first creative act of the deity that gives life to the visible order of everything. Even more striking is that the primordial act of establishing the visible reality is then parallel to the later chapters of the Slavonic apocalypse that focuses on the eschatological demise. So you can pick the bones out of that. I can't say that I'm an expert in any of these concepts. They're all way. I don't know. They sound a lot like Gnostic teachings to me, and I'm not a Gnostic. But for some reason, there's a connection. Now, if you're thinking, if from my understanding, and I've had some real, I have got the inspiration from a very highly regarded academic paper on academia, that a dial is Metatron. So if it's Metatron, it links into the concept of Moshiach ben Yosef. And like I say, that's the hidden secret where Yotewahwe is rectifying all of creation. He's rectifying these broken vessels and building them up into vessels of Tikkun in order to contain that light that is a revelation of his name, Yotewahwe. And with that, I will say shalom. Please subscribe and share. Thank you.